Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and I am presenting Tao of the Day. That's right, it is time for the Tao. If you are familiar with the Tao, why don't you just step up and pick a number between 1 and 81. Otherwise, for those of you who are new, the Tao of the Day is where we take the Tao Te Ching. It's an ancient text written presumably by Lao Tzu back in 600 is it BC, 600 BCE, and that's about the same time that they say that that scholars claim that the Old Testament was written. So it is an ancient text that consists of 81 chapters, and those 81 chapters are all about living a reasonable life. And what does it mean to live a reasonable life? Well, the Tao Te Ching translates to the canon of reason, or the middle way. There's lots of different ways of translating things. There's lots of different translations. I use the translation from Stephen Mitchell, and Stephen Mitchell happens to be Byron Katie. I believe it's Byron Katie's husband, and he is a Tao scholar. One of the it is the sort of quintessential translation for our time. There are other translations that I will dip into. I dip into the Hogan translation. There is a number of different ones that I have access to. So yeah, so I have a couple of those up right now. And if you have a number between 1 and 81 you would like to walk through together, definitely come on up and pick a number between 1 and 81. So what would happen is you would come up, I would read you the Tao chapter that, or the Tao verse that you chose, and then we would go through that, get an initial kind of take on it, and then go through it line by line to understand what more it might have for us. There's so much that's in the Tao, and it's so much of it revolves around this idea of being rather than doing. And our world definitely revolves around a lot of doing. And so it's wonderful to be able to be in a space where we can start exploring what it might look like to be in a space of being. And not a lot of people are up right now, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pick a number, and I'm going to go and pick number 2. When people see something as beautiful, other things become ugly. I'm just taking a note really quick. When people see things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see something as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend upon each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That's why it lasts forever. Well, a number of things first come to me. Yesterday, I was talking to Joshua, and we were talking about colors blind the eye, and flavor numbs the taste, and sounds deafen the ear. And this verse kind of follows up on that very nicely. When people see something as beautiful, other things become ugly. And I know I utilized the reference of, oh, well, when you see something as beautiful, you have created ugly, right? Once we define something, once we define a thing, once we define a ultimate of something, then other things get looked at in comparison to that, right? Like when you have love, you can immediately rely on the fact that something that is not love is going to be created, right? Like you're going to notice that. Otherwise, everything is love, or everything is, rather than having a word for it at all. Everything just is. But once you see something as beautiful, once you see something as loving, once you define something as this looks like loving, and I think that was a big problem when we started looking at this concept of um, tough love. You know, when we started looking at tough love and defining tough love, what ended up happening is tough um, started to become more important than the love part. And people started to define love in certain contexts, especially when it dealt with someone that was in the throes of addiction. Someone, you would start defining love as being tough, and so tough became more important, but you defined it as love, and so it was okay, right? And really, although love can sometimes look tough, toughness is never love, right? When it when it comes out of you as a loving act, when it comes out of you as a thing in which you are being loving, and you're not looking just to be tough, that's when things start to get like muddled, right? And so when people see something as beautiful, other things become ugly. This is about labeling. This is about like defining things. This is about putting things into categories. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. And once you define what is good for you, that could be something that remains even after it's a healthy concept. You could say, like as a child, oh, keeping my distance from people keeps me safe so I don't get in trouble. Well, as an adult, if you hold on to that traumatic response, well, that's a, like once something becomes good, other things become bad. Getting close to people becomes bad. And then if you hold on to that throughout your life, well, then that's going to keep you from being everything that you can be, everything that you are. And so, all of the lessons that we have in our life are here. And when we create the rules around that which we are going to live, well, then we're closing ourselves off to things. And once again, this is the Tao of the day, and the Tao does talk about living a reasonable life. And it's more reasonable to not predefine the experience. The experience we're having right now is very unique. When I was in my dark retreat, I got stung by a scorpion. Now, if I were to describe that as bad, if I were to own that as this is bad, this is awful, this is horrible, like oh my god, like this experience is, like my experience wouldn't have been able to be had. But when I recognize, no, this is my experience, and it's neither good nor bad. It's nothing to do with the scorpion. It has nothing to do with any of this, preconceived idea of what it means to be safe. I went into that with preconceived ideas of what it means to be safe. And there's a line later on, and we're going to talk about this as well. There's this, the things that I brought down to Guatemala with me to help keep me safe disappeared completely. Like, I don't know how I lost my 7-day pills, like, so I could be safe in there by taking pills for my MS, not medicine, but it was, supplements like vitamin D. Vitamin D is a big deal, and vitamin B, as well as fish oil and taurine. Those were primarily the things I was taking. But I lost it. Now, I had put that in my bag a week before I left because that was the one thing I was going to need to keep me safe, to keep my MS in check, and it disappeared. Right? And so, but by being able to let things go, and the reason I mentioned that it disappeared, as did a mala of mine, a prayer bead, a set of prayer beads. Disappeared as well. The reason I mention that is because later we're going to talk about things arise and she lets them come, things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, right? So that was something that's coming up now. That's near the end, but here we are at the beginning in terms of describing good and bad, and stepping into a situation with a preconceived idea of what is to come, stepping into a preconceived idea of this moment is being defined by this thing, right? This moment is being defined by old ideas. If I were to have stepped into that dark retreat and gotten stung by that scorpion and been like, oh, now this is a bad experience, right? I would have then either left, which would have robbed me of so much that I had gained from that retreat. Or, like, I've been calling it retreat, but I really want to start calling it an advance. I want to say I went into my dark advance, because I definitely advanced my life through this. It was not a retreat, but we'll continue to call it a retreat, just because it's where it's common parlance, right? Um, so when people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. I'm going to turn the volume down on this. Thank you, Kelly. She's probably not listening because she's texting me, but yeah, that was Kelly. All right. Well, when some people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see things as good, other things become bad. And then we get into this five set, and this happens a lot in the Tao, where we have these sets of things to look at, right? Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend upon each other. Before and after follow each other. And so one of the things that I want to just kind of point out about those five things, it's like you can just, like, they're all saying the same thing. And it's like, without one, the other can't exist. Without good, bad can't exist. Without beautiful, ugly can't exist. So being and non-being create each other. So it doesn't matter, like, whether you live or die, or you are or you're not, or it is or it isn't, whether your ideas come into fruition or not. They depend upon each other. They create each other. It starts with non-being, the idea, and then you can bring it into being. And those things, like, and then being from there creates something that is non-being, that then creates something that is being, that then creates something that is non-being, that creates something that is being, right? This is consciousness. This is the flow of consciousness. And I know many of you may think of this in small sections, like in which you are at the center, right? You are the being. But remember, like, from a thought came you, right? And even before that, from a thought of consciousness to experience this, came mankind, came animals, came cells, came the universe. From before God, the universe was an empty vessel. It was darkness. And darkness is behind everything. Darkness exists within your body. Emptiness, void exists within you. And all of that is this being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. One thing is difficult so that you can get better at something, and things become easy. Things that are easy are there so that they can oppose, or at least support, the fact that you've gone through difficult things. Those things cannot exist. One of those cannot only exist, right? When people say, I only want to be happy, well, as soon as you say that, discord is being created. And so it's important to understand that, like, things don't exist in that vacuum. Things exist as a whole. And so there is another side to it all. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. I wrote an email that's going to go out on Tuesday about, nothing is always a good thing to say. I mean, I talk a lot, but nothing is always a good thing to say. And I'm hoping that my time in Guatemala will help me explore that some more. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. As we were talking earlier, this concept of, things disappeared. And you can look for them over and over and over again. You can continue to be frustrated by the fact they're gone, or you can let them go. I looked for my prayer beads, I looked for my pills for, maybe 5, 10 minutes each. And eventually I was just like, all right, it's not here. It's gone. Don't know where it went. None of my business where it went. I'm not going to go retrace my steps or anything. It doesn't matter. It's gone. Let it be gone. That's quite all right. There's no reason for me to follow this and try, because if it needs to be with me, it will be with me. This is where I started sort of letting go of the idea that I was safe, letting go that I was holding on to safety. Because if I can let go of the idea that I'm holding on to safety, if I wasn't able to do that, the fact that I got stung by the scorpion could have you know affected me a whole lot more than it did, mainly because I was trying to hold on so strongly. If I had those pills, if I had my vitamin D and vitamin B and all of that kind of stuff with me, getting stung by the scorpion could have caused me to reel in trying to medicate and trying to supplement my way out of the situation and make me feel safe. But what I needed in that moment was to feel safe in that moment as myself, not looking to an external, not looking to something outside of myself. Lois is coming up, and yeah, we can come back to two, and we'll see what Lois has to offer, and then we'll. What's going on, girl?
Hey, Martin John, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a nice morning. I woke up early this morning. Been kind of chugging along, doing some stuff. Figured I'd get on around 8 a.m. my time, and you're out there, and are you in Pacific or Mountain Time?
Pacific. Pacific.
Pacific. So you're six
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah. I'm always up early. I'm usually up really early, but I'm in California now because I'm here to go to a funeral. So,
Oh,
yeah, I just got here yesterday afternoon and ran around once I got here. And I'm still sleepy, but my body wakes me up at 5 o'clock every freaking morning. Yeah.
yeah.
No, usually it wakes me up earlier. If it God got a message for me, wakes me up at 3:30, 4.
I was up at 3 today myself.
See,
And I
I
did,
got
and I did, I mean, what was it? I did well over an hour and a half of meditation this morning. It was beautiful. I was just able to kind of just sink right into it. And even though I was a little tired, I was very present. So it was nice.
well, I'm very present right now. I haven't did mine yet, but didn't want to miss you because I
Oh,
missed you yesterday because uh, all plans got changed and I had to make myself stay asleep late and all that kind of stuff because I didn't find out Sharente wasn't going with me until like about 3 hours before it was time for us to go, and I had not rested. I was not prepared to drive.
mm.
I was prepared to take the passenger seat. So, so I had to regroup or reassess the situation. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
now
get
I'm
that.
still tired. I'm tired. But I know I can't go back to sleep because I got to drive too far from where I'm staying to go to the place. So that's why
Oh,
we got to get ready. So I wanted to find out what number I wanted. I think I want to go with 60 because it was 60 something when I
yeah.
did it. So I'm gonna go with 60 because I don't think I've ever taken anything out of 60. I think I took 61 before because that was my birth year. But
All
I'm
right.
gonna 60.
Let's look at 60 and see if we can't vitalize this system of yours a little bit. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna do a
Gov-
meditation when I finish and go take a
yeah.
hot shower and a hot shower, cold shower combination. You know that one.
Yeah. Kind of shock that
Shock
system.
that system.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm gonna be okay. It's just like okay, I'm dragging, but I figured let me get some wisdom for your queue get filled up and then I'm gonna be able to touch you.
Yeah.
I love
Let's make
your
it
popularity. Man, I'm loving it because see you be talking some good shit. Ah,
happen. Well, thank you. All right. So governing a large country is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking. Center
ooh,
your country on the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that there isn't any, but you'll be able to step out of its way. Give evil nothing to oppose, and it will disappear by itself.
that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, okay, okay, Tokyo. That's kind of like what I was telling somebody yesterday. It's like when you're resilient and you're going with the flow. I'm talking about part more to an end because that's how I remember the end first. When you're going with the flow, everything comes together. You ain't got to poke at the door. You ain't got to bam no doors down. You ain't got to do nothing. You know, because my plans changed for over the last 4 days.
Yeah.
Everything that I planned did not come out the way I planned. But each time the plan changed, I didn't get angry. I didn't get mad. I ain't poked the fish. I just, okay, we're gonna flow a different direction. Okay. All right, we're gonna and we're talking about every day, everything that and the way I had in my mind that, oh well, and that was in my mind it was the way because everybody said, well, I'm going with you, I'm going with you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, da, 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 da. And each day when I first started, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. Okay, that's fine. All right, I'm just still getting my stuff together. La 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 la. Then something else happened and it made me say, oh, the eyelash lady canceled on my appointment. And I was like, okay, la 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 la. Then Sharente says, 3 hours before ready to go, oh, I can't make it, mom. And I'm thinking, la 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 la. Then wait, and it kept on going like that all the way until finally about the 10th, 11th thing, day after each day, somebody canceled. And I was like, okay, then this is gonna be what's special to me. Final ones was she called me and I'm on the way here. I was trying to get on with Angelina because she was doing that 24-hour thing. And she tells me, Mom, our flight to Oregon, they canceled the return flight. And I'm like,
Mm.
huh? And then I was like, okay, la la la.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
wait, wait. Then the la 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 started slowing down. So then while I'm talking to her, I'm trying to get on the call with Angelina. And because I'm driving through the desert, the call is dropping down, coming back, dropping, coming back. So finally I get a hold of Sharente and tell Sharente, uh go on, talk to Angelina, get to talking. And I said, let her know that I'm headed toward a rest stop and I'll be able to hear her clearly. Sharente gets on the call and she just goes and she forgets. She gets in the flow. She gets in the flow. I ain't gonna mess with that baby. She got
Yeah.
in the flow, man. She was flowing. I was like, well, damn. Next thing you know, okay, bye. And I'm thinking, wait. And I'm sitting there at the rest stop, and then she pulls somebody else on the stage, and I was like, you know what? This is irritating me. I said, sure, how come you did? And then I realized, oh no, you've been going with the flow. So I
Yeah.
said, I said, forget it. Let's just keep on moving because I just stopped twice trying to get in the
Yeah.
call. So
Yeah.
we after the second step, I said, you know what? Forget it. I ain't even gonna worry about trying to get to her. If I'm supposed to talk to her, I'll talk to her. So I
That's
started
right.
jamming my music and started rocking out because I ab dance in the car. That's just one of my ways of keeping my body shape when I
Yeah.
have a long drive. And then it also keeps the energy moving, so I'm not my feet don't get swollen and my knees don't hurt.
Yeah.
Because I am older now. I move real good, but if you sedentary, my body starts showing my age. So I
Yeah.
can't just sit on my butt. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, so it was kind of like a lot of regrouping. And when it finally played out, hey, I got here. I was sleepy. I mean, man, I was so sleepy on that drive when it got in traffic. So I was just prayed all the way and just laughed and stuff. And then, but with the Angelina thing, after I turned on my music and I rocked out to about 5 or 6 songs, my vibe was back up again because I hoponoponoed that because I was like, wait a minute, because I hadn't added stuff together. And then to somebody said, Angelina said, resilience. What's resiliency to you?
Mm.
I've had to be for the past because it was the old voice would have got frustrated with the first cancellation. And not only the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, man, I can't even tell you how many times I had to bob or weave. Okay.
Yeah.
And to stay with the flow. And when it turns out my vibration is still high, I'm just a little sleepy. And I
Yeah.
know I had more driving to do, and that's why I'm like, okay, let me get up early. Let me get Martin to find out what Martin is doing, and
Yeah.
then you know what I'm saying. And then I'm gonna get off of here. Like I said, go take the hot cold shower combination, do my energy work, lay down, meditate a minute, and then cook me something to eat. By then, it's time to get ready. You know
You
what I
know,
mean?
as I look at this, it starts with governing a large country, but let's look at this as governing your time or governing your day. It's like
I was
smoking a small.
governing my schedule and stuff like
Yeah.
that. thinking I was
Yeah.
gonna stick. Because when I was a stickler, oh my God, I was so frustrated trying to get the perfect schedule. If you come here at this time, we can get there exactly the right time. And this is that's the way I used to be. And if anything came in and threw a rod in it, it was like you had put sugar in my gas tank. You
Hmm.
know,
You know,
can't, you know.
and the second part is to center your country in the Tao. So let's look at center your schedule in
Hmm.
the Tao. And evil or things that'll take you off your schedule will have no power. It's not that those things aren't there,
Right.
but you'll be able to step out of their way.
There it is. You could just go with the flow, like the tide in the ocean. You know, I mean, if you get caught in a rip tide, you don't fight it. You just wait, just relax, and let it flow. And then
Hmm.
the wait when it stops pulling, you're able to let it go. I almost drowned in one of those when I was a kid.
Yeah,
So,
you gotta
so
be brought out, and then you swim across and then
yes,
back in. You come at it from a different angle.
a
And it's
different
not that it's not that evil won't be there. It's not that those bad things won't
our
be there.
disappointments, our contrast,
That's right.
or people or arguments. I ain't had no argument. I think thank you, Jesus. I haven't had that stuff happen. But who knows? I'm gonna go into a situation where people are gonna be sad and emotions are gonna be all over the place. That's why I told you I knew I had to get up early, even though I'm sleepy. Because
Yeah.
be prepared for that because I don't want to get triggered.
That's right. And because it's not like those things aren't there, but in order for you to be centered in the Tao, in order for you to be centered in this moment, you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
There it is, right there. And making sure I take food with me and everything because I don't know how they're eating now. I have no clue. So like I said, centering
Hmm.
myself as far as my heart. I didn't worry. Usually, like I said, that stuff usually bothers me, and then I would get bugged by it. And then by the time the icing got on the cake with Sharita get on there, I'm thinking, okay, when's she gonna say something? When's she gonna say something? When's she gonna say something? That's when I realized, oh hell, you in a bad headspace. Get
Mm.
shit. Help hold upon hold upon hold upon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, change the vibe. Change. Go somewhere where your vibe is where it's supposed to be. Because I felt it drop into and then because then my brain, here you go, the brain comes in and says, dang, everybody didn't cancel on you and they didn't switched up plans and you didn't get you didn't it? And then it started getting ready to do that. That's when I hope that crap. And
Mhm.
I turned on my vibe, my music that I have a high vibe in, or any area that I could think of that I'm vibing high in, so that to get the calibration right.
Right.
So this it was about governing my response to what was going on and not reacting. Normally, I do not sense normally. Back in the day, Lois would have reacted,
Well,
and I
see, and that's how this one ends, which like it states, "Give evil nothing to oppose."
yes,
And so that's the thing. Like by having a rule, by having a way that things are supposed to go, you are just giving something external to you,
hmm
something to oppose and
hmm
to show. Like when you're okay with what's happening, there is nothing to oppose. And so it says, give evil nothing to oppose, and it will disappear by itself.
there, and that's what happened. Because
Mhm.
by the time I'm still flying high. I was still flying high at midnight when I was talking to what was it, Sean, and I was like, okay, you got to go to bed, and that's
Yeah.
with caffeine. This is a beer brew. This is like wow. It was just all without caffeine. Generally, I would have to have caffeine to stay alert to make that drive to do this, da, da, da. And I
Mhm.
didn't realize I didn't have caffeine until just now.
Yeah.
I'm
And see,
like,
that's
what?
the, you know,
So
and that's a gift in so many ways, because one, you can decide, well, do I want to not have caffeine? Do I want to continue like this, or do I want to get my caffeine and feel normal and do all the things that I can do and all of that? And it's
don't
like this
caffeine
is
though.
just awareness.
And Martin, I don't want caffeine. I don't drink coffee and I don't like caffeinated tea. I only like herbals. Okay, so if I take caffeine, I have to go and get no dose so that I don't fall asleep on the drive. And usually I have to do that because I mean, back in the day, I would get a Mountain Dew, but then I was like, oh no, because last time I tried that because I didn't have any caffeine, it made me so sick.
Oh man,
Drink
Mountain
that
Dew.
crap
That
no more.
is.
Yeah,
that
buddy.
is
It
that is
tasted nasty, and
it
I
is
was
it
like,
is
"What did I
green.
ever
That
love
is the
about
most unnatural thing I can think of.
okay?" But it was the highest thing in caffeine that I could find.
Yeah,
And no
that's
soda
I recall it being, it's not only high in caffeine, but it's high in sugar and it's high in
sugar and a
high
whole bunch.
fructose corn syrup, right? Like
Yes, buddy, it is bad. Well, for my body, it is bad
yeah,
for my
and for
body.
my body, yeah, for me, and I
Okay.
mean, I don't drink sugar as much anymore. I mean, like, yeah, my diet is really restricted, but yeah, so give evil nothing to oppose, and it will disappear by itself. Be there, be present, be within yourself. Center your schedule in the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that it's not there, but
That's
you'll
right.
be able to step out of its way just naturally. You just be able to step out of its way. You won't have to refute. You won't have to get angry. You won't have to do any of that. You just be like, oh, look at that. There it goes.
And I thought that was true too, because the fact that I didn't think I was gonna catch you on, because usually I catch you on around 4:30, 5 o'clock my time, and
Oh yeah. Some days
I
I like to push it.
I got my up, but then when I got up, I saw it and you were on, and just at the right time, because I was opening it up to prepare and say how far this drive is, what time I got to get there by, and how traffic's going to be. That's what I was getting ready to do, and I was like,
Yeah.
I caught Martin. Oh my Jesus,
Yeah.
because
Oh
I didn't think I would do it. That's why I said I looked at it because I needed to find out where I was going and how long.
yeah.
I appreciate spirit and making sure that I didn't get to talk to you yesterday, but I got you today off by
Mm.
her chance.
Yep. Thank
You.
you so much, Lois. Love you, and my condolences to you and all of those that are gonna be helping your buddy pass. So love you, and my love to you and the family. We're gonna bring Wendy on. Oh, Wendy, my dear, how are you doing?
Good
Good morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm actually making my coffee because I have to have my coffee.
Yeah, make it, make
Oh,
it. It's a
yeah,
beautiful thing.
I am making my coffee right now because my husband snores like a bear, and he's
Mm.
home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot
Is
sleep.
yeah, I did notice that on Instagram that he came home. Where was he?
Well, he's living in Texas and he's moving back here, um, with me in Florida. So, because they kind of reworked his territory, so he's coming home. But we really are gonna have to work on our sleeping situation, and
Yeah, that's snoring's a tough thing.
it is.
I always look at just two things that I look at. One snoring and one being ticklish. If you're ticklish or you snore, those mean that you have some serious blocked energy.
Isn't that funny?
Um,
And I'm not ticklish. And it was funny. My father-in-law loves to like come up behind people and like poke them on the side. And he's like, "You're no fun." I'm like, "I know,
Yeah,
because
well,
I'm
that
not
that
ticklish."
just means that just means that you're not holding on to a lot of like energy and trying to hold back things. And I always kind of feel like being
Yeah.
ticklish and snoring and other things of that nature like are always like there's something in you that you're just trying to not let out, and it's really good to try and let those things out, and like a lot of men snore, and I think that and a
Yeah.
lot of people are ticklish as well, and I think that a lot of those things are because like the old identities of what men should be, and and like there's a disconnect between like that deep feminine that's within us, that feminine energy, not necessarily feminine qualities, but that
Well,
that, that yielding sort of experience.
yeah. And my husband, I mean, and we're working on it, but he's overweight right now. And so I'm
Mm.
hoping that when we come back, when we're living in the same space, he's going to go on the walks with me. He just left this morning. I'm like, you want to take a little bit of a walk? And he's like, no, I can't. But we're going to make the time to do that and kind of get him back on track with his
Yeah, when we
health
look at look
stuff.
at look at all of those things as symptoms, and we can address the symptoms like going on walks and having a healthier diet and all those things, but behind all of that, like just like I mentioned with like holding on to energy, he's holding on to weight. This is starting to
Yeah.
manifest. So some of these like deeper things that maybe he's not, up for looking at yet, but
No,
those
he's not.
are the
Well,
things
he is
that,
kind of.
right, those are the things like
Yes.
I'd rather hold on to my weight than let go of this thing, right? Like, and so those are the sorts of things. So great, diet, like walking, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, those, I always look at those as like energies. So keep that in mind as you guys are working together and continuing to get healthy.
Well, exactly, because I've bought all, I take probiotics in the morning. Well, I take
Mm-hmm.
all the things I need to take that I can't get from my food, and I take like an omega-3 and stuff like that, and I buy them and I put them like right in front of the coffee pot, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, you got to work on that gut health, and he's like, don't be my mother, and I'm like, fair. So
You're
yeah.
right. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like for myself, I always come out of everything, looking at it from this perspective of recovery, and I always ask that question of just like, we cannot change somebody. So
No.
what we have to do is like
Mm,
look at the things that we have, look at our frustrations, or whatever we want to call them. I don't want to call them frustrations, but look at the thoughts that we have of those that we want to change, and then ask ourselves where we're holding on to that as well.
oh
Because then
yes.
when we can change the way we perceive, that actually invites another person to look at themselves in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
beautiful. So do we have a number today?
I do, because okay, here's the funny thing. I've been picking up change around my house because I'm cleaning out my house, so I am counting change. Let's see. Let's do 49.
49. Beautiful. I love that everyone has like different ways of being like, it's when I'm born, it's this, is that. The master has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the people. This is all about you and your husband.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
She
Or me and
is,
my kids.
yep. She is good to people who are good. She is also good to people who aren't good. This is true goodness. She trusts people who are trustworthy. She also trusts people who aren't trustworthy. This is true trust. The master's mind is like space. People don't understand her. They look at her and wait. She treats them like her children.
Mm, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I do that all the time. I do. I do. I do. I do. Yeah.
So, what stood out to you about that?
Well, like I guess I've been working to help my daughter with her store,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a lot of work on my end, but and I see the things that might make it a little easier for her if but I try to hold back and say, let her go through it herself. And
Yeah.
that is a hard lesson for me across the board with everyone, because I want to be everybody's mother, and I can't
Yeah.
do that. And I have to, because I'm still in my own stuff. I'm still dealing with my own, you know, brokenness. Of
Yeah.
course, we all are.
Of course.
Um, you know, yeah, my own family situation, meaning my dad, who I'm estranged from, and all the shenanigans that bring us where we are. But we all have a tendency to want to jump in and help people along, because we're like, I've been there, done that. But you can't take their lesson away from them, so you have to kind of sit back and say, yeah, I
I
understand.
love that quote. Like, you can't take their lessons away from them.
No,
That's
you can't.
beautiful. That's a beautiful way of putting it. Because I want to go back to the first line here. The master has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the people. So, I mean, if we could say this about the mother. The mother has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the family. Like, how does that resonate with you? What does that
Yeah.
mean to you?
Well, because I have two daughters who are very, very different. I said, I'm the center of the double helix,
Mm,
because they're doing their thing, and and I'm their mom. But, they come to me and say, "She doesn't understand me. She doesn't understand me." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I know."
Yeah.
Um, but, you guys just have to work it out between yourselves because I can't, I can't try to solve their problems. And so, yeah, that is something I have to work on a daily basis because I tend to want to be everybody's mom, you know?
Yeah, and what does that mean to you, being someone's mom? What is that? What's the characteristic of that you are holding on to?
Well, I guess when I hear people that are in pain, and I hear a lot of that on here, you know, um, I want to comfort them. I want to help them,
Mm.
and it may seem to come off as you are judging me, or you don't know my situation, and I say that about me to everybody. And so you have to kind of step out of that. It's one of those things that we do innately as a mom, but we have to do the big pullback. We have to look at the big picture, meaning there's a lesson to be learned. People are healing. Let them heal, and just comfort them. Let them be in their
See
space.
that see that second part is how I picture a mother. Someone who steps back and is loving, but isn't trying to solve or overly comfort. Like, of course, there's comfort, but not to the point that it removes the child from the situation that they're dealing with. Just
Right.
knowing that you're right. So maybe like your definition of what it means to be a mother has been too overly involved, because here what it says is she is good to people who are good, she is also good to people who aren't good. That is true goodness, but that probably means that people who are good she's not overly good towards, and people who are not good she's not less. It's like there's a
Right.
stasis there, there's a balance. She trusts people who are trustworthy, she also trusts people who aren't trustworthy. This is true trust. Like, we see it in the public sphere a lot, where people, their mind changes because one little thing happens in their life, right? They are
Hmm.
against, like, gay and lesbian marriage, until all of a sudden their child comes up gay or lesbian, and now all
Right.
of a sudden, right, like, and it's like, whoa, 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 like, where is the balance here? Like, I am of course all for gay and, like, rights and all those
Oh,
things,
yeah,
but it's
of
also
course.
like, are you there? Are you just placating this? Or are you firmly, like, do you understand the depth of being here in this moment? And this is what I think when I talk about mother, and when I read the Tao, when we talk about mother, because at the end here it does say she treats them like her own children. So I want to address that. But when we treat them like our own children, it's not coddling, it's raising.
Yes.
It's not comforting, it's raising. We are raising
Mhm.
you to be who you are, not trying to get you to be who I am.
Well, exactly. Yes. And that is, again, something that I have to work on every day, even at my age. And we know what that is. It's not young. It's not young. And I think it comes from the fact that I never felt like I was protected by my mom.
Mm,
Meaning, I grew up in a household with a lot of rage,
yeah.
and my mom, I really wanted her. It's odd because I said, "Why did you stay?" Because she left after being married for 50 years, and when she finally said enough, and I was like, "Why?" Because why did you stay? And she had her reasons, but I'm like, I never really felt protected by you as a kid. I felt like I was the one that was doing the protecting of my sister, who was younger
Hmm.
than me, and myself. So yeah, maybe that's my own hang up there, that I tend to overmother people because I felt like my mother was very kind and loving, but she couldn't really be there. like I needed her to be there. So yeah, I think that explains everything.
That's connected. Right. And I think just the awareness of that will allow you to more readily be able to put that down from day to day. Not that it's going to be easy, but just
No,
the awareness. Awareness is the key of everything. And the awareness that this is actually on you, not on them.
right, exactly,
That your desire to coddle or your desire to make them comfortable is on you, not their need to feel comfortable. They may have a codependent sort of relationship with you and comfort at this point, and they may ask for more, but that doesn't mean you have to provide it, because you still have to be healthy.
exactly,
You have to be healthy first. And then at the end of here, it says, the master's mind is like space. People don't understand her. And if you start to change, people aren't going to understand. And it's not going to be something that you can necessarily explain, but it's still going to be something that'll be healthy for you. They
yeah,
look to her and wait. She treats them like her own children. And in that, treating her like their own children isn't treating them like they are, you know, gods, or they are the most special little, like, no, I'm giving you space to live your life. That's what a mother does. A mother allows you to grow and change, and allows and will feed you and will love you, but will not demand of you, the child.
right, and I think that what all we can do is be that safe space for people and tell them I'm here, and that's what I'm trying to do with my own children.
Yeah.
Um, rather than jump into their lives and try to fix things, because I've done that forever, and it got me nowhere except exhausted, and it still gets me exhausted, quite honestly. But I'm learning to say I'm here.
You cut off right after you said learning to say I'm here. If you want to jump back up to finish that, that seems like a really good finish, but like, I want to bring you up, and then Mojo will get right to you in a second.
All right, I'm back. I wasn't looking around.
Yeah.
I can
No,
say,
quite all right.
yeah, no, just to say I'm here if you need me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try not to. I try. I do it still, but
Of
I really
course.
try hard not to try and fix other people's stuff,
Yeah,
because
to inject
not my
yourself
place.
into their situation. Yeah.
Exactly, because we're all broken people. We all have our baggage, we all have our stories. And, it's hard when we relate to somebody's story and we just think, well, because I'm so old, I really, I don't want you to do these things um, because I hear you and I love you. But, yeah, you got to just do the pullback and say,
Nope, you muted.
yeah,
Get a call.
I had a
Yeah.
call. I'll get it in a
All
minute.
right.
But,
All right.
yeah, so that's
Well,
perfect.
thank
Thank
you. And
you.
I think your change spoke to you well today.
I think so too. I do too. Yeah, it's perfect. And now we'll go in my piggy bank.
Yep. All right.
Um,
Wendy, you have a wonderful morning, and then we'll be in touch soon.
okay, thanks, Daryl. Daryl.
Love you.
Thanks,
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Mark. Bye.
Yep. Martin. Yep. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
It's not. It's. I think it's a compliment to be called Daryl. I think Daryl's got a lot of props out here on the app. So I'll take that. Mojo, how you
Good
doing,
morning.
man?
Good morning, Daryl. It's good to meet you. Martin John. That's funny. I really do believe Daryl is just an AI app anyway. I don't think he actually exists in real life, but just my suspicion.
Oh yeah, I've only interacted with him a couple times, so I'm not privy to his AI.
Well, he actually kind of plays along with that. Drops hints all the time that he may just be AI speaking into the void. But
Oh, okay.
so I just playing along.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's fun. It's fun.
It is
Keep
fun,
going.
right? Totally
Yeah.
fun. Hey, I want to thank you again too for joining me in my talk the other day. It was a very profound experience for me, and you added greatly to my journey. So I appreciate that, my brother.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, it's like I remember coming on. I don't remember what I said. This is very very similar to I'm glad. It's like I send letters and stuff to my friends, like cards and things, and I write these like beautiful things, and they always call me up crying, going, "I just got your letter. It's so beautiful." And I'm like, "Yes, I have no idea what was in that."
Right. Well, that
It's
reminds me
just
of the
like,
quote that people rarely remember what you say, but they don't forget how you make them feel.
yeah.
So that's really what you did. I mean, I couldn't tell you what you said either, but I can tell you how I
Right.
feel about it, and that's
Oh,
all that
that's
really
beautiful.
matters. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. I don't even recall the topic, but it's always just kind of being present, being present and letting things flow through you. If it flow
Exactly.
through me, then I don't have to remember it. I just know that it was honest at that moment.
Right.
Because if I were
Absolutely.
to say it now, is it going to be are those same words might not be the honest words that I would say, but it was at that moment, and so it
Yeah.
was what was needed.
Exactly. And even if what you said, even if you said the exact same thing right now, it could be honest, but it might not fit because the context has changed.
That's
So
right.
this is my premise that keeps bubbling up in all my conversations, that content and context are two separate things, and you have some discernment and tune into when is the content appropriate, because context matters.
Right. And then being like for me, that's why I lean on the Tao is just being here, being present at this moment will align all of those things to just be spoken through you. I mean, I know
Yeah.
there's the one line in the Tao. It's like being lived by the Tao in collaboration. That's the way we live, rather than trying
Yes.
to be in control of like the content all the time, being in control of the context all the time, being in control of and trying to keep track of all that, because that's
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
that's a moving target.
Yeah. And I love the wisdom app is exactly like that too, because I can come with planned content. Here's the bullet points that I had to share, but I would much rather just open up the question. And as you taught me, actually in that talk, I asked the question. So, Martin, should I set the tone and set the stage
I remember
before
that. Yeah.
I engage the audience? And you gave me this just lovely wisdom from your perspective. Why don't you just let it go where it goes? And I'm like, okay. And it did,
Yeah.
and it flowed for quite a long time. And I felt like I was I was right where I was supposed to be in those moments.
That's that's
So
that's
thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you for that
Absolutely.
gift. Yeah.
Yes. Right. It's always great to share. So we got a number today.
Let's go with 5.
5. I love the low numbers. Low numbers are always nice. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk about it, the less you understand.
Mhm.
Hold on to the center. And that's it.
Wow. Short and sweet
Short
and
and
profound.
sweet. But pretty profound. I mean, we're talking about
Yeah, totally.
bellows. It talks about like using it and talking about it. Like, so what are some of the things that popped out at you? Like, what were the lines or words that popped out at you that were really kind of significant?
Do you mind reading it one more time? Because there's so
Absolutely,
much
it's
there.
short.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk about it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center.
Hmm. Okay, so let's go with bellows first. So I
Mm-hmm.
think to me, this flows right out of the conversation we just finished about being in the moment and letting the conversation be like a river and take you where it does, rather than coming preloaded with content. The bellows are empty until you start exercising them, and then it
Mm.
has the effect through the motion. So what comes to mind for me is that, oh, and then the next thing was, the more you know, the less effective it is, or some words to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
What comes to me is information without implementation is delusion. Or another way to say that, or inspiration and information without perspiration won't produce transformation. So this goes to both, that you start with the emptiness, so you're willing and you're open to whatever may come, but then you don't just fill up and hold it. You let it flow through so that there's motion and direction in addition to the information. That's what comes to mind.
That's beautiful. I do like that. The more you use it, the more it produces, was the line. And the more you talk about it, the less you understand. And I think that that's really important. I think this concept of, doing over trying to grasp and trying to express and trying to explain, just like doing this will heat your fire much faster than contemplating it and sitting around and like just be moved by this object, by this bellows, by this air that we want to move, right? Just
Yeah,
move into some action.
yeah, yeah. In fact, I've mentioned to you before this book, Anti-Fragile,
Mm-hmm.
and in a different context. But one of the other really fascinating things to me is this author, Nassim Talib. He makes this amazing case, both from science, from history, from anecdotal evidence, that trial and error is far more productive in the human experience and the advancement of society than scientific study in terms of lab and crunching numbers and academia, that type of thing. And he wasn't putting down academia, but he was just
No.
comparing them side by side. And he has this one character named Fat Tony, he's just a never had schooling, but he's a man of the streets, and his instincts are really honed into the human condition. He knows what to do, and what, regardless of what the information is, he's instinctual and knows what to do. Versus Plato and Aristotle and Socrates, who thought about all these things and came up with really great ideas, but they were more academians than men of the street. So he makes this comparison throughout the book and really draws a compelling picture that the trial and error of experience is far more productive in our lives than just the contemplation in our heads.
I really appreciate that, and I want to bring that back to these first two lines, right? The first two lines that we're getting in this number five is the Tao doesn't take sides; it gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides; she welcomes both saints and sinners. Like, how do you
Mm,
look at that in
yeah.
regards to this trial and error sort of experience that you had through this book?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the second phrase because that one
Mm-hmm.
resonates with me much more than the first part. The first one really raises lots of questions, actually, which is a good thing because that's how I learn. But
Mm-hmm.
the second part is this non-judgmental, this welcoming, right? That's the word, welcoming. It's a non. This is what unconditional love is to me. Is there's no expectation going into it of what the other person should do, should be, what they're going to give back to me. It's not a transaction. It really is purely giving for giving's sake for the betterment of the other. So there's no judgment, no labels, and I think there's almost a beautiful blindness to love because you're not evaluating whether the person is worthy of your love when you go
Mm,
into it, right? So
right.
that's where that second phrase goes, and I can really, I mean, I can I can really resonate with that. But the first phrase is much more challenging for me. I got to tell you.
And why is that?
So the Tao gives birth to both good and evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if in my experience, I'm thinking of the Tao in terms of, the universe, the way it's created, and perhaps even the reflection of the creator, how does an entity that I would describe as pure love birth evil? So that's the question I guess I have.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first thing we have to recognize, just like saints and sinners, is that evil starts with a definition and not having, like, evil doesn't exist until it's defined, right?
That's
Just
good. Say
like
that
a
again.
saint
Let's
and
say it again. Wow.
so
Evil
evil
doesn't
doesn't
exist
exist until it's
until it's
defined.
defined. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And so once
Ooh,
you
that's good.
define evil, then all of a sudden you're looking at things as evil, but they are not intrinsically evil. They just are. This is where the saints and sinners definition comes in, right? It's the same thing. The master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners, just like the Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to these
Mm.
things. And these things are the things that we define. Now the Tao doesn't take sides. In viewing the Tao, we have a certain language. That
Right.
language revolves around good and evil, but the Tao has no way of defining that, because there is no good and there is no evil. It is all as it is.
Mm. Okay, so again, this will be a challenge. This is something I'll have to chew on for a while, but here's what comes to mind while you're saying that, and thank you for that beautiful interpretation. Is that, who did I hear this from recently? That you can only define something by its opposite. So
Right.
I only know pleasure because it's because of
You've
the
experienced
contrast
pain.
to pain. Yeah, the contrast to
Hmm.
pain. Right. And here's how I heard the context that I heard it in was sometimes when we're making progress, or often when we're making progress in our personal growth and development, we hit obstacles and we are somehow surprised by that. But we shouldn't be, because by becoming more positive, becoming more developed, we actually we can only define that, we can only even understand that by its opposite, by the contrast. So of course we're going to see the opposite, because that's how we define who we are becoming. And so I said this is really helpful in terms of the giving birth to good and evil. It's actually the good can only be defined by contrast of the evil.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm,
And
mm,
and and once you define one, the other is created. And so it's not as if evil can exist without good, right? Like when you
yeah,
create
right.
God, you create the devil. Like that is just an inherent necessity. You can't create God and then not create its opposite. You can't create a saint without understanding why they're a saint and what makes someone not a saint.
Yeah, it's the contrast that defines both sides. Yeah. Mm,
And then we start talking about the emptiness of the bellows.
yeah, I love that.
It is the definition that we give it, right? It is empty. We have created this idea of emptiness. And yet, in that emptiness, with that emptiness, we can produce
Right.
infinite
Ooh.
capability.
Wow. So I'm picturing in my mind the actual physical bellows. And
Yeah.
I've played with this before. Many people have, so you got the two handles and the accordion looking thing in between. But you're right, it's empty to start with, especially if it's closed. Ooh, this is even better. It just came to me. If the bellows is closed, there is nothing to produce. There is no air going to come out of
There's
it. So,
no
so,
potential.
so you actually have to open up the bellows for it to be filled, and then close it again for it to expel, to produce motion or goodness, or whatever you want to, however you want to define that.
Right.
So I love that action, right? That if I don't open myself to be filled with something, I start empty. But if I don't open myself to be filled with something, then I have nothing to give.
Yeah. And in order to give, you have to fill. And even your filling is being, I mean, you're filled with air, but it's like filling yourself with nothing, and then being able to expel that all. And it's not
Yes.
holding on to it. It's not trying to grasp onto that which you are filled with. The more you use
Mm,
it, the more it produces. And yet it's not like an education where you're just carrying information.
right.
The more you talk about it, the less you understand, because
Yes.
there's nothing there.
And go back to the bellows again one more time, because for the bellows to really be productive, um,
And you're gonna
to
cut off. So let me come
okay,
back
sure,
up. Come back up,
sure.
and then we'll wrap this. Oh, and then Dr. Rao's back. Dr. Rao, welcome back. Give me a second. We're gonna just wrap up this number 5. Go on.
That's not for the bellows to really to continue to be effective, to continue to do what it was intended to do. There's this continual filling and emptying, filling and emptying. That's the motion of the bellows. That you get full and you expel it, you get full and expel it. So there's this ongoing cycle of being full and then giving it away and getting filled and giving it away. I really love that picture in my head.
And not grasping onto that which fills you. So when you look out at the world, don't be fooled by the illusion that you're being filled with stuff. Don't be
Yeah.
fooled by the illusion that the world has beauty. You have beauty. Yes, the world can express that beauty in different ways, but that beauty is within you, and you are being filled. Now release it back into the world.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, if you fill yourself up and you don't share it, then you have no more capacity. You cannot be filled with anything else. So
Right, because you're full.
yeah, you actually have to expel whatever it is, the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom, whatever you've received, the beauty. You have to expel it in order to receive more. So it's required. I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Thank you
that.
so much,
Thank you,
Marty.
sir. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Have an amazing day.
We'll do. We're bringing Dr. Rao, and then Energy Lady's going to come up. If you can stick around, Energy Lady, definitely do. Definitely do. Dr. Rao, my friend, how are you?
Hi, Martin. How are you?
I am very well. I'm very well. It's always so wonderful to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what you are saying is absolutely true. I think this is more applicable for both of us. Is like we are in that bliss, and staying in the bliss, we talk, and that becomes so much easier.
Yes.
And the other people, not everybody, but some will be on their path of getting immersed in that illusion quite a much. Is that
Yeah, and
that right? Yeah.
and and this isn't like it's we all get lost in the illusion. The illusion is so fun. The illusion brings us so much comfort. The illusion brings us so much bodily
Yeah,
um joy. Like there is joy in the creature comforts, as you were talking about the other day. There is bodily, but there is a limit to that.
there's a temptation, yeah, that you have to,
Yeah.
and then don't. It's a kind of addiction too.
Yeah. Oh, that's everything. Well, man, it's all like the body loves addiction. It is just
Yeah.
we are addictive machines, and addiction isn't like it means you have a healthy brain.
Mm, mm, it's a
Because
habit.
your body, I look at that just because your body wants to find, like a source of food,
I
and
will tell.
so it shortcuts. Go on,
Yeah,
please.
I will tell you a thing that came up to my mind as we are talking about this. Somebody asked Ramana Maharshi one question: how do you overcome mental habits? you know
Mhm.
he said, how can I have mental peace and quiet and all that? He said, just to overcome your mental habits. The thing is, most of the people are not aware that they have mental habits because they're
Mhm.
drawn into the habit even before they realize,
Right.
because they are not stationed in the Tao or Brahman. They are stationed in the Manomaya Kosha. This is a mind, right?
Hmm.
There's only one layer. Then he said, how do we overcome those mental habits? He said, realize who you are. That means realize you are the Brahman, or you are the Tao, or you are the Nirvana, whatever it is, right? And then he said, how do I self realize? Because you overcome the mental habits. Then he said, but that's like a catch 22, that are this, right? And he said, but who is that asking the question?
Mm.
The mental layer asking the question is the problem.
Right.
And most of our friends here are that, with all due respect, uh,
Hmm.
just with passion and compassion for them to get out of that. I'm saying that, I love them anyway because I only see the being,
Yeah.
but I also see the suffering that's going on.
There's so
Yeah,
much. Like there are times where I turn on this app and I'm like, I flip through what people are saying, and I'm like, I can't at all. Like especially now after my dark retreat, I'm
yeah.
still in a very sensitive space, and I'm just very much like, oh, there's pain,
You
and
know what
it's
what the difficulty is, Martin, for us? It is to come back to the mental layer and
yes,
communicate at that and go back there.
yeah,
Because if you are already always there, no problem. That is the danger of communicate from mind to mind, and
Hmm.
most of the world is immersed in that.
Yeah, and to
Yeah,
recognize that right now I cannot be that right now I am not as in touch with my mind layer that
yes,
I am with my, Tao layer. Like
yeah.
that, it's good for me to protect myself from
No,
that
no, no.
until
Dao,
I'm ready
Dao
to
is
move in.
Dao is not layer. Dao is
Right. That is
real
this,
thing, and everything else is around it.
right. When I am less in touch with that mind
Yeah,
layer,
yeah,
I don't want to communicate in a way that is not going to be helpful.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, they get offended because the mental layer is the one which get offended.
Yes, yes. That
So
is the only place that we get offended.
yeah, that's why it's so important to be in attentive rather than inattention. This is something I think very applicable to us. Is suppose we fall out of that attention, then we are in inattention, right?
Right.
Be aware of that, and that will fall off. Like you were talking about, the E will fall off when we are aware of it. The same thing with this one also will fall off.
Absolutely.
Then
And
you come back to the attention right away.
that's right. And I was talking to a couple yesterday, and we were talking about the ability to like like this dark retreat for me got me the ability to go dark quicker.
Yeah,
To kind of get to this place much quicker
yeah,
because now like when I need, I can just kind of go there.
yeah.
And it's a really beautiful sort of experience.
Yeah, that's the kind of what you have come back to your real self,
Yeah.
and you're staying there is the challenge. And that's when you pay attention to inattention and then come
Yeah.
back to the attention again.
Right. And
I
being
think
able to being able to go back to go into that mind space and then
you
be able to
you know
return.
when we talk like this, Martin, other people think, what is this two mad guys talking about? Unless you are in touch with that, they cannot perceive it.
Yeah. It's always wonderful like having conversations like where I can really speak sort of like
Yeah,
openly, and
yeah,
it's cryptic.
yeah.
It's so cryptic, and yet so many like it's still there for
Yeah.
anybody to be able to grasp.
Yeah, very easy to fall off that attentive phase and then be in the ego phase and then be, they
Mm.
call them brashta, yoga brashta. That means degenerated from yogic state of union.
Mm. Yeah, I got to brush up on my Sanskrit.
Yeah, but I think you are really trying to help them, but then they may be staying in that mental layer we talked about. And if you could only direct them at the time from that to the real Tao, because they're already that
Yeah.
always.
Always,
Oh,
always. It's always there.
yes, yes.
And it's in and just so many of us cover that up.
One thing really made a difference for me is, why does people like, Ramana Maharshi or Nisargadatta or Christ or any of those figures that are like always in the, in the Tao or Brahman.
Avatar, yeah.
Yeah. Not even avatar. They kind of grew into that too. Some people, right? And then why they miss? They are, when they look at their eyes, you can see the love for everybody. You know
Yes.
why is that so? Is they are always looking at the Atman or the Brahman or the Tao.
Mm, yes. Oh, that's so
They are always looking at that. So
yes.
I kind of come to understand that now I can easily see that we are in the mental layer when I'm talking to somebody, but I try to see them back to the being.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
told him so many times that namaskar, I use it for to see my patients as the beings, and then everything else, their suffering, I can see through like a laser.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is sick with having stomach upset and all come, then I can see that they're in their mental layer very anxious, and that is contributing to this.
Yes.
you know.
And like for me, when I work with my clients, one of the first things that in the first session, I paint their portrait. And that's me able to look at them and to
Yeah,
see them
yeah,
in this way. And then they just get the experience of
yeah,
being seen
yeah,
while talking about themselves. And this is exactly, I think, just like the natural course that I took to
yeah,
be able to help people. And I think that's what you're expressing.
yeah. This is basically judgment and saying this is so, sir, is not there. It's just like seeing as it is.
Right.
So if you like a portrait, you may want to see them through the portrait. Then also you are not seeing what it is. It's okay to help you, but eventually you will see what it is, even without the help of the portrait. It could be in the
But
beginning.
right, yeah. The portrait is just a byproduct. This
Yeah,
is it's
yeah,
it's really the only
yeah,
use is so that I can
yeah,
look and that they can see. Like these are I always say that this is only going to be helpful for a very short period, and it's just going to help us talk. It's not going to help you. Like you are actually going to be m- removing
yeah,
that mind layer on your own. Like that's not
yeah.
something I can help you do.
Yeah, the thing is, for you also, Martin, just get rid of the portraying for a while and see them what they are right there. Then it becomes much more powerful for you. You know,
Oh yeah,
I,
I'm
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
just try it. Try it for a few days. Don't have any portrait, anything. As they come in, just a test for you. Are you piercing through all the layers and seeing them like a Superman laser? Uh,
Yeah.
the moment you do that, what a relief from
Right.
your own accumulations are gone. It's such a relief for you, and the love that comes up through that is really real,
Yeah.
and that is nurturing to you and to them too.
Yes. No, I
Yeah,
believe that. I believe that. And those are things that like I get.
yeah. At
Those,
this level, I can talk to you like that.
yes.
You
Yes. Of
say,
course.
"Oh, he's judging me. He's kind of," that kind of thing. We are
No,
only.
and I love it. Like I get to experience then that resistance that, could pop up, and then I get
Uh,
to experience like, where do I want to prove and all of that. And I get to be in that space of being able to
yeah,
come back to that mind layer and then being able to like, nope, let
it's
it go.
kind of you are looking in a mirror.
Yeah, always, always. And that
Yeah.
is always what I'm attesting to as well as working with.
I'm having this course for the burnout, like a 12-week course I conceived, so that they can come. And I'm going to give it to the companies so that companies can bring their employees for a flat rate or something like that, And then they can take advantage of that through the 12 weeks. And at the end of it, they will have visited all these things that will increase their resilience inside. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the wellness club in the morning, I asked them a question. Okay, what is your spiritual practice and why are you doing that? What are the areas Dr. Rao can really look and lead you there? You know, and people don't even are aware of the what kind of practice they are doing. Oh, that's why I'm here. But what is that you want? They don't.
Right.
And what is it that you can get? They don't know. And then if they I will ask me questions at the end of the session, right? In the beginning I just practice in the presence, and the end of the hour, 15 minutes, I give them come on, ask me some questions, then we can talk about it. They want me just to passively say things, but that doesn't mean anything.
No.
You want to know something, then it will make much more sense. They say, ask me a question. Then they were, what kind of questions you want to ask us? You want to ask. That means you don't even know what kind of questions to answer. That's what I wanted to stimulate. So I tested. I told, is your spiritual practice? Why are you doing it? What is the area that you want me to clarify, or you want me to participate in discussion, or you just explore and I'll explore with you. You know,
Yeah.
they are on that path now.
Yeah.
Right? they told me why, what they are doing, why they are still not very clear. And I'm not going to clarify them. They have to clarify for themselves why. It could be small, it could be big, whatever, whatever that comes, that should be their own. Then they will own the answer also as their own.
Right, because the answers are on, like,
Yeah.
there are no answers that are yours out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, they will have to pluck it. They will come up to that too. But the main thing is the transformation is happening as they are doing.
Yes.
So
Just adding the awareness changes everything.
yeah, Martin, this company thing is something I'm starting now. I'm telling all my friends, anybody, major leaders and all that, that they want to make a difference to their employees. Those are the people I'm looking for. And once I enroll them, they will see the value of the program, and then probably they will take it up on that. So I
Well,
need.
wonderful. Well, I know some people that work in like corporate environments and other things
Yeah.
like that. So I'll definitely start sending some folks your way if that's something that you're interested in connecting with, because I think your work is wonderful, and I would love to be able to help spread that. So I'll reach out to you on Instagram or somewhere, and then we'll exchange information and start chatting a bit. Energy lady, thank you for your patience, my dear.
Hello. And you know
Hello.
what? I wasn't really waiting, so it's all good.
Oh, good, good, good,
Yeah,
good.
I
I just want
decided
to
to
be.
live my life and put myself in line. What?
That's right. That's it. Like,
Go with the flow. So, how are you? Doing good?
I am doing really well. I'm feeling much more centered. I'm feeling much more able to, like, I feel really. I feel, it's the wrong word, accomplished, but for everything that I had experienced on my dark retreat, I think that
It's coming.
now
It's coming together.
it's integrating really
Yeah.
nicely. I think it's
Yeah. That.
all working, and it may take years for it all to integrate, but
Right.
it was like the things that I had to walk away with. And I've talked to some of my, I wouldn't call them teachers. I've talked to some of my peers about some of the things that I was going through, and I got some really wonderful sort of feedback. Not not feedback as to what I went through, just feedback as to,
Conversation.
like, getting,
Conversation. Right. Just
yeah, just like
yeah.
being able
Hmm.
to express. And then, everybody's just like, wow, you're doing really great. Like, that's really the only feedback I was getting. But it's been really wonderful to recount and to kind of go through my process. So,
And
so
to sometimes share with the people who are right there with you.
yeah, and like, so many people I can, that I, like, we have the same language. I know people
That's
that
what
are
I mean.
in
Yeah. That could.
Trillium, and I know people
Yeah.
that, like,
Yeah.
we're like, even though I'm not in Trillium, some of the language and I in Trillium, like, we speak the same language. That's where the mutuality comes in. and
Right.
then and then like, as a healer, like, I know vortex healers that I've been able to talk to, and so we can speak with really cryptic sort of
Mhm.
language without having to kind of get caught up in trying to express, well, this is what this means, and this is how I mean to say this, like,
Right.
and like, it's great to not have to think about your audience, because your audience thinks like you
No,
know
I get it. I actually met somebody on the app yesterday that is like a Celtic. He's from Alaska,
hmm
Celtic energy person, and he's really, really profound and has this depth understanding of something I don't have an interest in going into. But when I went up and talked to him, we had this straight up conversation, and he was like, "God, this is refreshing, but
yeah,
it's not something I want to do." So it's the same thing. It's like comrades,
yeah,
we're talking to our comrades, which is great. I mean, I think it's wonderful for you.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
got to
thanks.
be such a great experience, and that your conversations are changing too. So, just with people and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's super cool. That's just my point.
yeah,
It's
just,
super
yeah,
cool.
it's been a good
And,
week. It's been a good
and
week.
well, it's like you said, this is going to continue to keep going. So
Right.
it's, and wow and yay,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and at the same time, there's tears, it's the whole process.
It's everything. Yeah.
So I don't have a dilemma, but I have a little bit of a confusion.
Hmm.
As far as a number, first
Yeah.
it came to me as 75, and then it came to me as 57. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not sure which direction to go in. And I'm not sure if you have a feel on it or one grabs you and I'll look at the other one later. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go with 75.
Okay, that was the first one that popped up. So
Yeah, we're
originally.
gonna go with
So
75. And let me look at something really quick.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. 75. We're gonna go with 75. I did
Okay.
57 yesterday, so we'll do 75 today. Um, and I think we may have read this one before.
I
So
know, that's why I was going. Do I want to do it? Do we need to do a different version? I don't know.
yeah, I'm gonna look at. We're gonna. I'm gonna open up a different version, and we're gonna look at
Because that was one of the, I think it's one of the
something.
first numbers I picked up working, being with.
Yeah, it's yeah. Um, Let me think here. I want to go with what is her name? Oh man. See now you got me. No, that's okay. This is good. This is going to be from not Suzuki. Where is she? I keep forgetting her name. Um I'm bouncing around. I'm trying to remember what this woman's name. She was from early 1900s. Um,
This is when you wish you had comments in this thing, right? That somebody will be popping it up for you.
yeah, so it would be just like, oh yeah, here it is. Um, I'm gonna go through this one more time. And if I can't find this, Isabel Mears.
Okay.
That, Isabel Mears.
I've never heard that name, so this will be fun.
Yeah, Isabel Mears. 1916 was when this was written. We're looking at 75. Okay, 75. Isabel Mears. The people are hungry because they who are over the food tax it heavily because they who are over the food tax it heavily the food because they who are over the food tax it heavily. That is why people are hungry. The people are difficult to govern because the rulers trust in possessions and activities. That is why the people are difficult to govern. The people make light of death because they work hard in order to save their lives.
Hmm.
That is why they make light of death. The master, indeed, he is he whose life activities are from within. He excels all men in his application of life. Okay, I'm going to reread that because it doesn't have like punctuation and stuff, so I want to try it again. The people are hungry because they who are over the food tax, nope, because they who are over the food tax it heavily. That is why people are hungry. The people are difficult to govern because the rulers trust in possessions and activities. That is why the people are difficult to govern. The people make light of death because they work hard in order to save their lives. That is why they make light of death. The master, indeed, is he whose life activities are from within. He excels all men in his application of life. I feel like I read that well. Thoughts?
A lot. You
So
like
this
that?
is
Okay.
1916. So let's take that into consideration with the style. But I think everything's pretty clear.
Right. Okay. The it is the question that I've had because of the shift in the modality of how I share who I am has been the part that has been the confusion for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I feel like it's too small,
Mm-hmm.
too simple, and it's not even that. It's I feel like it would be not sharing the love and the passion I have for life. I
Yeah.
know that that's not the truth, but that is what's being said, confusion wise. But you described my family dynamic, and that's what I'm shifting out as the worthy. It's a big, big, huge thing that in my head of I don't know any different. And you just described how my family thought, and it
Mm.
was opposite of me. So I would love to see what that first part is, the not confusing, but not real clear. That first part that you kept stumbling over.
Yeah. The
Can we
people are
go?
hungry.
Yeah, can you
Yeah.
tell me what your understanding is of that?
So I'm gonna reread the first line. And so there's these three different ways of the people, right? We look at the people in these three different ways. The people are hungry because they who are over the food tax it heavily. So the people are hungry. What are they hungry for? They're hungry for food. What kind of food? That could be anything, right? The people are hungry for creativity because in
So
order to be
so could food be connection, but they don't realize that that's what it is?
right. So if it was the people are hungry, for the people are hungry for connection because they who are over the power of connection tax it heavily because it's hard to make connection in our world.
Right, and with the dogmas that are out there, it
Hmm.
and it did with my family, my
Hmm.
sisters, it sends them away from even being connected to anything other than their brain.
Right, because it's so
I want to say themselves, but it's not. It's their brain and their
right,
fears.
right,
And I'm not
because it's
blaming
so
them. I'm just looking at a dynamic from my
of course.
visual. Okay.
And what this is saying is because we tax it so heavily, because it's so heavily taxed, to like for me to be in connection with myself,
Hmm.
I have to overcome everybody who has given up being in connection with themselves because they don't want to see me succeed at that. That's a
Right.
tax. That's I'm being taxed heavily in order for me to get to the point of connecting and being who I am. Because there is, the world of the economics, the world of education, the world of family, the world of all of these things that I'm being expected to uphold. And the moment I stop, I don't want to uphold it in the way everybody else does, I am being taxed.
Oh, okay. So the taxing in what you're sharing is the resistance, the pull
Right.
away, the unhappiness.
The people are hungry because those who are over food tax it heavily. And food can be any one of these things.
Right, because it's something that feeds the soul. It doesn't have to
Right.
feed the body.
That is why people are hungry. The
Okay.
people are difficult to govern because the rulers trust in possessions and activities.
And all I'm
That's why
gonna,
the
right, and I was gonna say, and all I got to do is look at the world today and understand that clearly within my family dynamic.
yeah,
That you don't know it, but I'm telling you that that's
right,
what I
yeah,
see. Yeah,
yeah.
no, that it's this paradigm is amazing. Okay,
The people make light of death because they work hard in order to save their life.
explain,
That is
share a little bit about what that means to you.
well, it's kind of like when people joke about things. Those are the things that they feel so deeply about. They're afraid of they're working to save their life. They're afraid of death. And so they have to outwardly make light of it.
Okay, well that makes sense because my mom getting cancer scared my sister so bad that they're doing everything in their power to um, not die, except they're doing everything in their power to kill themselves.
Right. Right.
So that's what you're saying, right? It's
Hmm.
that energetic dynamic.
Yeah, you're making light of it, and you're not taking it, you're not taking, like, death is something that is a beautiful aspect of our lives that we
Right.
have to be able to embrace. And if we don't, we're going to avoid it. And by avoiding it, we're just drawing ourselves closer.
Okay,
We're taking light.
so that would be the source of, because my sisters are still, my mom passed in 96 and my
Mm,
sisters are still just horrified by it. Um and they're doing everything to make it not happen because it's a horrible thing. And that's what you're saying, right?
yeah. Yeah, I know that's a way of making light of death. I
No,
think
that's what I
making,
mean. That's
yeah,
the. I'm just using that as a paradigm for myself. That's all.
yeah, whether or not like I mean I wouldn't try and plant a flag anywhere on that, but
No,
yes,
no,
that
no.
is
I'm
that
just
is
no. If you knew what I was going through right now, you'd understand why I'm kind of making it a little bit lighter. I'm doing this
yeah,
on purpose. I'm
yeah,
doing this
okay.
on purpose. No,
The,
I get it. It's much bigger than that, and I'm doing my best to stay lighter because otherwise my system really, really hurts because I know what I'm doing. So this is
yeah.
perfect.
So then it states, a master indeed is he whose life activities are from within.
And that's,
He excels all men in his application of life.
can you share what that means to you?
I say, like, in every application, in everything you do in your life, you try to help others excel.
Yes, very much.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that
So,
and
so
that
even
happens,
even if it's in a simple modality of the physical body, it's still perfect. Correct.
right. And that
It,
happens because it's coming from within, not because it's coming from a plan, not because it's coming from an influence. It's coming from you, from within. And
okay.
that
So
and
I
that
no,
just
that makes
happens
sense.
to
So
happen.
yeah, I need to break free from. I still. It's what this is saying for me to again let go a little bit more and break free from even what's in front of me now.
That's right.
No, that makes sense because I've been asking for that thought, that feeling, and I honestly didn't know, which I'm knowing now, right?
When it's ready, when you're ready, when it's ready, when all of that. Thank you so much for coming up. I appreciate that. I'm going to reread this one more time for you and for everybody else because I did stumble over it. Isabel Mears is one that I really love, but it is also one that is written so much more difficult to read for a number of reasons. One, it was written in 1916 or something like that. So that's that in and of itself could be a challenge. But I'm going to go ahead and read this again because I think I finally got it down. The people are hungry because they who are over food tax it heavily. That is why the people are hungry. The people are difficult to govern because the rulers trust in possessions and activities. That is why the people are difficult to govern. The people make light of death because they work hard in order to save their lives. That is why they make light of death. The master, indeed, is he whose life activities are from within. He excels all man in his application of life. And that's a, like this is a really beautiful, I love, like, this is like, Isabel Mears just makes me cry because, like, it's so potent. She's so good at this translation. And it starts with these statements. People are hungry, people are difficult to govern, people make light of death. These are things that, you know when we embrace possessions and activities, and when we're living our life and just heading endlessly towards death and not even recognizing it, like, those are things that can really just make a life so much less valuable. Not that life can be less valuable, but you're not getting out of your life what you can have. Your life is yours, and to really embrace that is really an important aspect. And Graciela is going to join me now. Thank you so much, Energy Lady.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Graciela. How are you? It's moving
Um,
on to the afternoon soon, but
yes, yes, the day is halfway over already.
man, it is moving quite along.
Have you done 33 yet?
Not today.
Let's do 33.
33. Moving on over to 33. Oh, very short and sweet. I do like this one. Knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power.
hmm hmm
If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole heart, oh, we were just talking about that, you will
hmm
endure forever. And that's
Mm.
it. First off, before we get into this, I'll actually read that over again if you'd like. But I wanted to thank you for telling me about Angela Frost yesterday. It was very nice to visit with her after a little bit.
Yes, you're welcome. I was listening. You did very good.
Oh,
I'm
oh,
so happy to connect you two.
oh, well, wonderful. Yeah, it was delight. It was delightful. So, um,
Now, you also did get to connect with her after like 18 hours awake, so you should really connect with her today after she's had a good night's rest. You know what I mean?
well, I'm sure we'll connect again. I'm sure we'll connect
Yes.
now that we've done that. So.
Yes, she's
But
amazing.
yeah, no, I no judgment. It was very nice. We did a little energy work together just because she was saying that she was tired and stuff. So I was like, well, let's
Yes,
let's let's work let's work on your system a bit, and that was nice. So
that was amazing.
yeah,
Yes, thank you for that. I'm so happy.
yeah.
And
So
she's amazing. I'm so proud.
yeah, wonderful. Like it was yeah, like I said, it was wonderful to interact. But so yeah, knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom, mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power.
Hmm. Hmm. You know, I'm currently being called to do a lot more learning than teaching at the moment.
Yeah.
And so as a content creator, it's kind of hard to disconnect from social media and from the rhythm that I've already accomplished for so many years and for, all of that. So lots to think about and lots to ponder because yes, I can only master myself and control my own experience and not even that really. I can do my best at doing that. And everybody else is kind of on their own vibe, right?
Yeah. I posted something the other day. Do you think you can help other people? You're wrong.
Right.
There are no other people.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
you
And
know.
it's been an interesting week with Elijah too. So that speaks to me, like always.
Yeah.
I knew 33 was calling for a reason.
And
Um,
then
I
you
love
know
the
like
number three.
as you talk about like this idea of content creator and all of this and pausing and this and that and whatnot, like we move into this next line. If you realize you have enough, you're truly rich. Like, and that's like rich in so many ways, right? Like, I mean,
Oh,
obviously,
yes.
like,
Yes.
but
And we go ahead.
no, no, no.
So we were talking about core beliefs last night because this aligns with the book that I'm reading with, in the book club, which is Happy Not Perfect by Poppy Jamie. And chapter number 1 is about her toxic core beliefs, like, I'm not enough, or I need to work harder, or I'll never be happy, such beliefs, right?
Yeah,
And we were talking, inevitably, once you talk about core values, the conversation also, transforms into core strengths and core beliefs and whatnot, right? So I forgot where I was going, but it's all very aligned because that line about being rich and not needing anything, I talked to you about this earlier this week, Martin
yeah.
John. Yeah, do you remember
Hmm.
about like what I learned from my dad and how that core memory became a core belief, and then it affected my money mindset as an entrepreneur moving forward. And so once I was able to figure that out, then everything started flowing. Ugh, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And that is if you stay in the center. And now we're talking about embrace death with your whole heart, but that is embrace death of that persona, death of that identity, death of that old concept. If you can embrace death with
Yeah,
your
that
whole
can mean a
heart,
lot of things.
right, you will endure forever.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's the thing. Like now you are opening to something new, but you have to allow yourself to get out of that egg. Wow. Yeah, you have to allow yourself to grow through that in order to and allow the death of that to happen.
Right.
Because without allowing the death of that to happen, then it's still hanging on.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes. A decision needs to be made. Huh. Dun dun dun.
Dun
That's
dun
like the death
dun.
card. It's like the death card in the tarot. Something something is a loose end that needs to be tied up.
Yeah, we gotta let those things go. Gotta let them
Mm.
go. And that's what, like, and that definitely comes back to the beginning. Knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom, knowing
Mhm.
others is strength, mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power. So being patient now, doing what you know you need to do without when I stepped into that dark retreat, actually the first day I stepped into the retreat center, it was like, you don't have internet, you don't have anything, like you are now, like, in this space where you
No,
have
no, no.
to
Este palo no es para ti. Ajá.
learn to not do,
Right.
and it's a beautiful lesson.
Yes, I'm curious. Do you remember, like, exactly at what time it was that you walked in there, or around what time you blew the candle?
Oh yeah. Well, it was probably 5 p.m. in Guatemala, and I
Okay,
don't.
that's perfect. So that's 7 p.m. here. Okay.
Okay, so 5 p.m. in Guatemala City, on Saturday.
Uh-huh, that's right.
Yeah, that was when probably I blew out the candle, because I went in at 4:30. I ate, I unpacked all my stuff and blew out the candle. So around 5 o'clock on
Ooh,
Saturday.
so you blew the candle before sunset.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
wow, that's interesting. So I did the meditation as the sun was setting in Guatemala because I was like, whether he has the candle or not, now it's really going to be dark for real. For real,
Yeah.
the sun is going down in
And I don't know,
Guatemala.
like, when I went to blow the candle out, it took me about 30 seconds. I went, and then I paused, and I
Yeah,
was like, "Uh-oh, this
yeah.
is gonna be it." Like, and then I just was like, "Nope, nope, nope. This is what you're here for." And
Yep.
very unceremoniously, I went, just like blew it out.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So
That's
it was,
amazing.
and it was, and that was the beginning. And I don't know if you've heard, but, like, I on the third day,
Bit by
I
a
got stung
scorpion.
by a
Yeah,
scorpion.
yeah, I
Yeah.
heard.
So there was a lot that I had to face while I was in there. And it was all great. It was all like, it was all my experience, and that's the thing that really I wrote a lot about, which was like the difference of the proposed or presented experience versus the one I had. So
Yes. Thank you
so
so
yeah,
much,
so
Martin
that's,
John. I
and
look forward to listening to the
absolutely.
whole story and connecting
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing
further.
it soon. Yeah, there's gonna be stuff. It's all about organizing it. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you go. We're
All right,
gonna
bye.
bye. All right. Well, the homesteads around the world, things happen. I am so appreciative of children and the innocence and the love and all of that. And so also appreciative of my not having children. For those who know me, yeah, that's not that that's difficult. I love children. Love that they're out there. Just love they're not mine as well. Thank you all so much for joining me for another Tao of the Day. We'll be back on Monday, because that's what I do weekdays, Central morning. If you guys benefit from this, please consider donating a little, or giving me a little tip. You can go to my link here. You can help me keep the lights on by sending money through Linktree or Venmo at @MartinJohn_Garcia. I will be scheduling workshops soon. Still not inspired to do that right now, but if you are interested in a workshop, reach out to me on Instagram, and I will definitely let you know when that happens. You can also reach out to me through my website, martinjohn.com, and other venues. I also host the Recover Yourself podcast. I have not produced an episode of the Recover Yourself podcast. in a while, but I am planning on recording my experience of the dark retreat. I may be doing that here, and if I do, then that will turn into a podcast over there. That will turn into an episode over there. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, I take a limited number of one-on-one clients every month. It starts with a portrait, as I was talking about with Dr. Rao, and is 4 sessions. After 4 sessions, you and I will not be in touch for 3 months. Of course, we can talk on here, but I will not be your. I will no longer be helping guide you through any situations or anything like that. Just because your mental health is yours, I don't want to be a part of that. I want you to own yourself, which is why the work that I do is called Recovering Yourself, because that is the goal. Once you've recovered yourself, nothing can stop you, because then that is a process that continues to grow and enhance day after day, year after year, as you become more and more comfortable with who you are, more and more in love with who you are, because that's what's most important here. As as the Tao states, number 33 with Graciela, knowing yourself is intelligence. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering yourself is strength, but mastering yourself is true power. Thank you so much again. My name is Martin John, the Recovery Mentor, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.